So I'm doing my daily devotionals because I do that, I try to do that at least once a day. If I don't, then I go back the next day and reread it. Um, then today I went to church and it was very interesting. It was just so good, talking about the reasons of what we do. And then I go to my devotionals. What's even more interesting about that is that it was like, um, once you get out of bondage, like anxiety, stress, worry, fear, um, seizures, um, all that stuff that you're in bondage with, like, right, like everything that like as your personal journey, what your bondage was, okay? As a fellow believer of Jesus Christ, what your bondage was, goodness, and how he got you out, and how you chose to set your will free and yield yourself to God, right? And then it said that if you choose, everything that he does for you is a choice. If you choose to sin again, it's not bondage, it's a choice. So, like it says in Romans 12, 3, and then Romans 13, how it talks about how you should change your ways. We really should. We actually really desperately need to change our ways. And we don't, that means we're going back, we have a possibility of going back into sin. And once that happened, which I'm still learning, so correct me if I'm wrong, once that happens, it's harder for you to get out of that sin. Because once before we were in bondage and turmoil, and that was not a choice. Okay, so let's say if I go back to the way I was on the anxiety, stress, and worry, that's not a bondage, that's a choice that I made to do. And so that's another type of, something that God has to work on me with, which is, not the pain or the suffering. He gives us pain for a little while, and I kind of understand that more. But you have to change who you were. You can't stay the same person. God doesn't want us to stay the same person. He wants us to change into who he wants us to be, but he's not going to force us to change. That's what's called, goodness, I'm so sorry. My hair is just herring today. That's what free will is. That's whenever he keeps saying, I will go after the 1 in 99. So, like, every time that you fall away, for example, 15 years ago, I was into witchcraft, I was an alcoholic, and I was doing drugs. And God pulled me out of that too. He said, here you go. And then 10 years later, I didn't get back into alcohol or anything like that, but I was always worried. I was always stressed that my husband was going to cheat on me. My husband was going to leave me for somebody else that was better and that didn't have all this turmoil. And so not only did I put that on myself, I put that on my spouse. And so I brought him into a lower level than he needed to be, and I regret it. In fact, it just, there's so much that I wish I could go back and change, but I can't. And that's the one thing I pray one day he will get deliverance from it, because it's not from him, it was from me. And it is the worst feeling. No, it's shame on me for what I did to him. I know I'm completely changed, and I know that. And I know that that's going to be a battle for me. It's a shame for what I did to him. I wasn't a bad person. My actions were not the greatest. But once I realized, after all of this, I knew that God was changing me, and He was changing me for the better. But you have to let God change you. You have to give up your will, your right. Are you going to let God change you? Or are you going to stand there and let the pain, the suffering, and the overwhelming everything in life take over you? You have that choice. The choice and the question is, are you going to let go of your will and let God? I hope this helps someone. I'm sorry if I rambled. The most thing that I got this out of was Romans 12 and 13, Ephesians, because Ephesians talks about how the renewal of your mind, because you have to renew your mind every single day, because I know for a fact that one day, literally not too long ago, I was just like freaking out, and I was like, whoa, hold on, that's not of God. It's confusing me, it's making me stress. It's all the things of not God. And so I had to change my way of thinking and tell God, here you go, take that thought captive. And that's what he's saying, is that whenever he says take that thought captive, whatever is confusing you, whatever is not of God, the fruits of the Spirit, and just plain confusing, or makes you sad, angry, or anything like that, that's not of God, he says to cast it upon him, because it's not your burden. And that's why he says take your thoughts captive. I hope that helps someone. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I hope church was amazing. I know ours was, whew, we were jumping up and down, and I was like, oh man, I posted a video on it. And I hope y'all have a blessed day. Remember who you are in God. Always. God bless.